What's up, folks, and welcome back to Dyce Reacts, where we are staying in London, England. Right? Oh yeah, we are going to be checking out British people will defend you. Very excited to check this one out. We ain't gonna waste no more time. We're just gonna get right into it, folks. We're gonna get right into it. Oh yeah.
So British people will defend you even if they don't know you. I'm making this video because when I came to England, right, I had to take a taxi from the train station to my Airbnb. From the train station to my Airbnb took about 15 minutes, like 16 minutes tops. So I took a taxi. I was told to take a taxi as soon as I arrived, and then basically just tell them exactly the address, and then to go to my Airbnb host. My Airbnb where I was going to be for almost a month, right? So the guy plugged in the address, we're having a conversation, we are chatting and stuff, everything's going great. I was like just so happy to be here, and I was super exhausted because that was a very, very long trip. I was actually traveling from I came from Virginia, United States. So long trip. I wanted to just be on my bed at the Airbnb, just chill. So when I arrived to the Airbnb address, the guy said it's going to be 60 quid, which now I know that he means 60 pounds, because when he kept saying 60 quid, I didn't really know what that meant. And I was like, you mean pounds? And he's like, yeah, 60 pounds. So anyways, I paid the 60 pounds. And while I was paying the guy with my card, the Airbnb host came to the driveway. She welcomed me, and we say hi to each other, hello, all that stuff. And then she curiously asked, "So how much was the taxi?" And I told her it was 60 pounds. So by the time I answered her, the guy was already taking off. When I tell you, this woman was so pissed, she was just so mad that the guy.
Yeah, you can see she knows that kind of scam goes on a lot. It's one of the first questions she asked him, and it's kind of an odd question if you just came into the country. But for her, she knows this is something that has been happening throughout.
I charged me 60 pounds from this train station to the location for the Airbnb because it was only 15 minutes. And she was just so pissed about it. She was like, I'm gonna call them. I'm gonna write them a letter. Do you have the card? Do you have this information? All that stuff. And I said, oh yeah, he gave me his card, because I was like, if I want to get around, I can actually contact him, because I was chatting with him, and well, I felt like we had a really good discussion, conversations, throughout the ride to the Airbnb location. So I was like, you know what, I'm tired, like it's okay, no worries. I guess I will never call him to get a ride from him anymore or whatever. So then we go in, I get settled, all that stuff, right? And then she came back and she was like, out of curiosity, do you have his card, the taxi man's business card? I said, yeah, it's right here. She said, well, I'm just going to keep in mind to make sure that, if any guest that comes to my Airbnb, to make sure they avoid this this taxi man. I said, okay. The next day, she calls that number, and then she goes off on them. She go off, and she was talking about how you should be ashamed of yourself. That's a disgrace. Why would you charge this gentleman 60 quid for just 15 minutes, which is absolutely ridiculous. Because it normally cost about, she said like at least 20 pounds, because that was a private taxi. Maybe 30 pounds, but 60 was like crazy because it was a private taxi. And yeah, she just went off, and she was defending me, saying that that wasn't okay. Why would you charge him that? And she felt like because I wasn't from here, from England, that the guy took advantage of me. It was like, I'm just gonna charge 60 quid. So as soon as she asked me how much was my travel, how much was the ride here, that's why it kind of took off quickly, because maybe he realized that, oh wait, she gonna realize that I kind of I could have basically messed up here. So that's why he left so quickly. But I'm saying this just to say that she didn't have to do that. Because it wasn't her money, it was my money, right? It was my money that I actually spent, and I was like, that's okay. But she literally slept on it, and then the next day, and she was like, "No, I'm gonna call them. They're gonna hear from me because that wasn't okay." So that's just another story of how, you know, British people are nice people. At least so far, my experience with everything that's been going on here since I moved here from the US, like everybody's been like super amazing to me. And to this day, my Airbnb host, we're such good friends now. She met my wife, my kid. We actually saw them last weekend. Yeah, she's such great people. But yeah, she defended me. Yeah, she defended me against that person. And but yeah, that was it.
And especially those professions, usually, like you hear a lot of stories, and I've seen firsthand, even to locals, they do it, especially if you're not someone who uses that kind of service. They tend to abuse it and put a high price on it since you're not familiar with the price range. So they try to get off one on you. I can see how people, because even in my country, especially when it's done to a foreigner, people, we get upset when we find out people trying to basically scam like foreigners, because in our country this is one of the main sources of income that we have in our country. So it really pisses off a lot of people, and rightly so. And she was onto it because she has experience and she has seen this kind of stuff taking place for a long period of time. So because that was the first question she asked, so she's familiar with that kind of gimmick from those I would say taxi drivers or those private drivers. So that was really interesting, and it happens more often than people actually think, not just in London, England, but all around the world. If you're going to use a service that you haven't used per se or as often, you should have an idea as to the prices of certain things, so that people will not really try to get one off on you or scam you, so that you can gauge and you can say, no, this doesn't add up based on the information that I was told. So when you're traveling, you need to find out those kind of information to see if the price is very far from what you were told. Yes. Yeah. But anyway, very interesting video, and certainly I'm going to be checking out more from London, England. If you want to see that long and outro that I do, hit over on Dyce Reacts, where I do music reactions. It's where I'm going to be making my exit. Until next time, peace and out.